Alright, now we're doing 7Q, pair zeros. This is by Nyan Peng, and 89% of people like it. So for a given list of digits 0 to 9, we're going to return a list with the same digits in the same order, but with all the zeros paired. Pairing two zeros generates one zero at the location of the first one. Alright, so basically, if we really think about it, we're just deleting every other zero. I imagine you've already been stuck on this one for a minute. So we're deleting this one, deleting this one. We're going to delete this one, leave this one, this one, and this one. So basically, 0, 1 we keep, 0, 2 delete, 0, 3, 0, 4 delete, 0, 5 keep. So every even zero we're deleting. Getcha? I hope you get that. So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to declare some variables. Let's say let result equal an empty array. And then we're going to also let count equal 1, all right? Because we're going to be dealing with, here's 1, 2, blah, 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 all right? So let's come down here and let's say for let I equal 0, while I is less than r.length, we're going to say I++, iterating through, all right? And then we're going to say down here if r at I equals 0 and count remainder operator 2. So if count is odd, we're going to say result dot push, and then we'll say r at I. And then we're going to say an else if, and since I don't really feel like typing the opposite of this out, the opposite of this one out, we can just, since we're dealing with three different things, we'll just say, so if r at I exists, all right? Why this? Because if it doesn't exist, that means it's 0, right? So anything other than the 0 is cool, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you. So we'll just say result dot push r at I. So that just leaves the last case, which is this, but count is even. So we'll just say count plus plus. Oops, we didn't say count plus plus up here. Let's come up here and say count plus plus. All right. So the first 0, it adds 1 to the count, making it even, right? And so anything else, we're going to put it in here. And then on the second 0, it's even, so it's not like this. So we'll just say count plus plus, making it odd again, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you. So then we'll just say that right here. What's going on here? Yeah, we'll just say right here, that's the for loop right there. We'll say right here, return result. Now let's test this out. And voila. Let's attempt it. Looks good. And it works. But we can shorten it up a little bit. We can do this a little more concisely. Let's comment this thing out so we can refer to it later if we need to. And let's just say const pair zeros equals r, and an arrow right here. Let's do a console.os. Come on now. Console.log like this, and right here let's say r.filter element but arrow element. All right, what's this mean? Let's go over to the filter method and find out. So the filter method creates a shallow copy of a portion of a given array, filtered down to just the elements from the given array that pass the test implemented by the provided function. So basically what we did is use this arrow function syntax, which is the array.filter element, and then we have the arrow, and then we have element right here as the argument. So basically, if element exists, put it in the array. So let's test it out just to see what it looks like. 1, that's cool. there need to be 2 zeros here. Where do they go? Because 0 doesn't exist, right? So 0 is not going to go into this element. That's a problem, isn't it? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? Well, there's a little trick, right? And I'm sure you could read this page and either find out, or I've read enough for these pages to know that sometimes it's not in there, so I'm not even going to bother reading it. But the trick is, if we do this, true, like this, if we say element or true and test it out, now the zeros are back, right? Because if it's true, we're just going to throw element in there anyway. If this comes out to true on the or after the or operator. So the thing is, now that we've got all the zeros back, how do we get rid of every other zero? Well, let's use this true thing using a little logic. We can say, first off, let's come over here and say, inside here, comma, count equals 1, right? We'll declare the variable count inside of the arguments parenthesis or area, whatever we want to call it. So now that we've got that, we can definitely say that count remainder operator 2, right? That's going to be true because count is 1. So test it out. Look, okay, so the zeros are still here. So what if we just put a little plus action after the count, so that every time this happens, this little problem happens, it'll just add 1 more to the count. What will happen then? Test it out. Oh, that kind of looks like it worked. Let's see. Let's see for real though. Let's take out this console.log, test it out. Haha, there we go. And by the power of logic, whoops, not typing skills, but by the power of logic, we've made it happen. All right. So test it out one more time, attempt it, and submit it. All right. You see right here, pretty much the same thing we did. They did the 0. They started at 0 instead of 1, so they had to write this whole long thing out. And that's cool, you know, whatever. And they did it in normal syntax, and they said instead of if number, they could have just left this part out, but whatever. Anyway, that's cool. Right here, basically sort of doing the same thing, except for they're making this a true or false. So since there's nothing passed into this F, it's false to begin with. So they just change it each time. It's basically the same thing with the true thing, but they just change the F to from true to false each time instead of adding 1 like we did, right? And that's a pretty slick way, but kind of hard to understand if you don't get it right off the bat. Here's something kind of like what we did, but a little clunkier in my opinion. And then you can just check out the rest if you feel like it. Let's go over to mine. Just me on this one. Best practice in my opinion. Very much like it. And we'll see you next time.